Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Truth Bombs and Heart Nudges with me, the host, Lori Herbers. Today, I'm really excited. We have a special guest, and her name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. And I'm going to say, welcome, Genesis.
Thank you so much for having me on your platform, Lori. And I'm super excited to talk to you and just really unpack some of my truth bombs and heart nudges.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. So we'll start with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, awesome. So, as Lori mentioned, my name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. I am a visionary life coach, motivational speaker, and I'm also the podcast founder and host of GEMS podcast. My core pillars are to educate, inspire, and motivate, all while bridging and connecting the dots between diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because we're all here on this planet to make it a better place. And we can do that when we come together and stand in solidarity to really accentuate one another's skills, gifts, and talents, because we're not here by ourselves, but we're here to do life with other people. And I'm just super passionate about health and wellness. I am married, been married since June of 2018. I love to travel. I am first generation American, so I am South American and Caribbean descent. And I just love exploring new cultures and trying new foods.
Wow. That's awesome. And I love what you're about, because one of my first truth bombs, since this is about truth bombs, was basically being told that we live in a giant cosmic puzzle. We are all a piece of this giant puzzle. And so for those of us who may, feel like we don't matter or we're not important, you are, because you are a piece of the puzzle. And everything that we do and say is a reflection on the whole. So I love what you are about. I just want to hear so much more. So let's go to, like, what is one, like, well, I don't know if you have more than multiple, but your truth bomb or your heart nudge that you really want to share with us today.
So, one of my true bombs or heart nudges is you are not what people call you. So, you don't have to answer to it. You are who God says you are, and you should live up to your own expectations and know that you are an asset. So, if you know what your why is and you have clarity around your why, then you are able to really tap into yourself as being an asset versus a liability. And I know we all go through life's challenges. Some people like to call them trials, some people like to call them tribulations or even tests, but it's those tests that curate our testimonies. If we never go through the hard things in life, we're not going to appreciate what we learned along the way, and we're not going to be able to share our experiences with other people who may be going through something similar. So I always like to challenge somebody is to think about where you are and how did you get to the point that you are at currently, and then start to foresee the future and write it on your own terms. Step outside of your comfort zone, get outside of your own way, and don't let imposter syndrome, keep you in a place where you're complacent.
Oh, that's amazing. I relate really well with that. And so some of my listeners may not know this about me, but I used to teach students that were locked up. And that is actually one of the things that I would talk about with them, because they would get moved around so much, they would lose out on credits, and they would get very upset and be like, well, then I'm not going to try because I already took this class, but it's not showing a credit. So I have to start over. And that's what I said to them. I'm like, no one can take your education away from you. You can't unlearn what you've already learned. So don't let those people win, because they would always tell me, like, they always said, I'm never going to, I'm going to fail and I'm not going to be able to do it. I said, don't prove them right, prove them wrong. You've done it before, so this time you can do it again, and you can do it even better. And so they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good point. And I love that, because we do get caught up sometimes. We feel like we're just in this midst of a storm, but there's always a rainbow. Or, sometimes we can dance in the puddles, we can do stuff in the rain. So yeah, I absolutely love everything that you were saying. I'm like so in sync with it.
And I love what you just mentioned there, because whenever you were talking about your students and you were encouraging them, sometimes people need someone to come alongside with them and do life to encourage them, because they've been beaten down so much by their family members, by society, and they feel like they're not good enough. When in actuality, if they look in the mirror and really look beyond what they see on the surface and really go deep diving, then they get to connect with their inner self. And when you're connected with your inner self, you're able to manifest and turn things around externally. And you have to start by, that positive self-talk, those affirmations, those gratitudes, and really becoming so in sync with yourself that you don't let people knock you off your base.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like a wave. Like I always talk about it as like a wave comes. Once you get steady on your board, the wave's not going to knock you off. You're going to be able to just like float on top of everything and everything's going on underneath you. That's how I kind of look at it. And plus, again, like I'm saying, I love everything you're saying. We're so in sync. But yeah, one of my truth bombs is because I grew up in abuse. And so for a long time, I allowed my father's words to become my truth. And so my truth bomb to people is never allow someone else's words to become your truth, because what somebody's perception, that's theirs. It doesn't have to be yours. So you can just, even a picture, like I'm very good at visualizing. I have a lot of my clients picture, when somebody tells you something and you don't like it, just picture a box and you put those words in this box and you visually hand it back and be like, here you go. These are your words. They are not mine. I don't need them anymore. Thank you. But I don't want them. I don't want them. Take these back. And it kind of releases you from the energy of those words. And plus, at the same time, you're giving it back and be like, I forgive you, because some people don't realize. And it's really crazy when you look back to some stories and you can even go back to someone, do you know what you said to me? And they're like, I don't even remember saying that. So something that was so powerful that might have been holding you down for so long, like they don't even remember saying it, and yet you're holding on to it. So let other people's words just float away. Yeah.
It's like the raincoat. Just let the raindrops flow off the raincoat, or you could call it your return to sender package.
It's exactly. Yeah. Because you don't have to carry it. I think that's, and now that I say it, something else. I used to be in manufacturing. I have so many things in my background, but we could listen to the radio, and I always listened to this Christian radio station. And I wish I could remember who said it. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name. I don't remember, but basically we're talking about you're driving a U-Haul down the highway and you're like, if you've got something in your U-Haul and it's not yours, you pull your truck over, take it out of the back, call them up and say, I just left your stuff on the side of the road. I'm not carrying it for you anymore. And that was like this huge truth bomb to me. I was like, yeah, why am I carrying all this other junk? Like I got my own issues to deal with. Why am I carrying somebody else's? So yeah, don't pick up somebody else's stuff. Get it out of your U-Haul. Set it up to the side, let them figure it out, and be there if they need you. That's fine, but don't carry it anymore. Yeah. Got a little sidetracked with my little U-Haul.
I love that. That's a good analogy, and I wouldn't have thought about it that way, but I was like, yep, that's so true.
Yeah, because how often well, not only that, but then if you're a person that really does love to help people, but you kind of forget about yourself sometimes. And so if you're that person everybody comes to, that was me growing up, I was that encourager. Be careful not to take on the weight of those that you're trying to encourage. So yeah, learn to lift them up, but then don't take the weight yourself. So you both drop it. Just let it go. Yeah.
So, whenever you think about heart nudges, Lori, how did you come up with talking about heart nudges in addition to truth bombs?
I think because sometimes that intuition piece, we don't truly understand that our intuition is our heart is nudging us. And I believe that when you're discontent is because you're not living to your soul's purpose. So if you get disconnected from your from your purpose, which you are your purpose is you're not, how do I want to say that? Your purpose is you. There is no, I need to figure this out. It's in you already. It's not something you have to go find. So when you're listening to your intuition, you get these little heart nudges that are trying to kind of guide you in the right direction. And I believe that when you're not listening to them, that's when sometimes the truth bombs come and slam you, because it's like you're not listening. So I was trying to do it the nice way with the heart nudges to kind of guide you in the right way, because I truly believe love leaves a trail. Love always leaves a trail. If we're not following it, then truth bombs are going to come and slam you and be like, okay, you're not listening to me. So now I'm going to really give you a, but yeah, I have a lot of, I believe in a lot of heart nudges in my life but that's just part of getting to know, like you're talking about, getting inside and know yourself, because your soul is always going to be telling you this is good for you or this is not good for you. This is heavy, this is light, go to the things that are light, go to the things that I'm trying to nudge you to where you need to be going. So don't get too busy either. If you get so busy all the time, you're not going to catch those heart nudges, and you're going to find yourself way off your path, which then you need a truth bomb to kind of blow you back onto your path, I guess you could say. So yeah, that was the idea of the heart nudges, because I don't think, because there's some people that I think are a little better than I was way back then, because it took truth bombs to really get me going. So for those who are actually paying attention, they're more of a heart nudge because you're already listening. So I think no matter what, either way, something is going to happen to help, especially if you seek. If you truly seek something, you're going to find the answer to it.
Mm. I like that, because whenever I saw the title Heart Nudges in your podcast, what it meant to me was having that discernment as well as that intuition. And I consider it the way that God speaks to me, because sometimes I may be going through something, but if I'm so busy, then my judgment may be cloudy. But whenever I get still and quiet, and I could really be one with myself and sit in a quiet place with no distractions, and I really hear how the Holy Spirit speaks to me and how he's leading me along my journey. But whenever I try to do it myself in my own strength, then everything kind of intensifies. But whenever I let go and just let God have his way, then my heart nudges begin to really solidify, and I have clarity around them, because I know those heart nudges are there to protect me, and it's never to lead me astray, but it's to ensure that I continue down the right path. Even though sometimes those heart nudges may be a testing of your faith or stretching you beyond your comfort zone, when you heed to them and are obedient, you see how things start to materialize and manifest in your life, and everything starts to fit together perfectly like a jigsaw puzzle. So when I thought about that in your title, I was like, I wonder if she means something similar to this. So that's why I asked.
Oh yeah. It says, and now that you said that, my question for you is, do you remember a time like way back, even when you were little, a heart nudge or a truth bomb that maybe pushed you when you were younger, when you were more impressionable, I guess?
Yeah, so I was a victim of bullying in high school. So that was one of the lowest moments of my life. I was the skinniest I ever was in my life. I was like a 000, and I could only buy clothes at this one store called Booyaka, because nowhere else had like pants that were that tiny. And I stayed home from school for 9 consecutive days until they wrote a letter to my parents telling them that if I didn't come to school, there was going to be a court order, because I live in Texas. So during that season, I knew who God was, but he was slipping away from me because the voices of others and the peer pressure was intensifying over God's voice. So it was like kind of like I was going through my own David and Goliath experience, or Daniel in the lion's den. But what really helped me get out of that dark hole was my parents being very religious as well as spiritual, and they kept pouring into me God's love and telling me who I am and why I matter and why I'm here. And I started to then allow those words to take root and nudge me to really rise up, where that day came, life take me back. I have to find my power. I have to get my, because if I allow these kids to continue what they're saying, I am a failure. I'm letting them know that they have the victory. And so what really helped me get out of that black hole and that dark season, Lori, was when my parents just kept pouring love into me. They were pouring love from a parent standpoint, but they were also pouring love from a religious and spiritual standpoint, because they were very much rooted in God and what he does and etc. And I remember, one day me and my dad we're having Bible study, and we read this scripture where God says, I knew you when you were in your mother's womb. And it talked about the number of hairs on your head and etc. And it's like God formed us in his image, so he doesn't make any mistakes. So if he sees us as a masterpiece, then we are a masterpiece, and we shouldn't let somebody else taint our image or sour our perspective, because they weren't God. They didn't create us. So what gives them power to tear us down?
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. I've also said, when I've heard, again, going back to working with kids, and they would try to be like, oh, I'm so ugly, or I'm so this. And I'm like, imagine if you had this painting, this beautiful painting that you made. How would you feel if people started making fun of that painting, or they didn't think it was pretty, or, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't like that. I'm like, well, how do you think God feels?
Mhm.
He created you. He made you this beautiful light, and you're sitting there saying that you're not. How do you think? And then they're like, oh, because they, you don't think of that. You were created.
Mhm.
You're beautifully and wonderfully made. And another thing too, that I have had this discussion with kids too, is like when they try to say I'm stupid, I'm like, that's impossible, because God gave you everything you need to know inside of you. You are connected to all wisdom and knowledge. So it's completely impossible for you to be stupid. And then they're like, wait, what? Wait a minute. Yeah. So now that I kind of surprised you with your younger one, so what got you to become a coach to help people with their vision, I guess you could say?
So, just going through various trials in my own life and those tribulations, and seeing how somebody helped me make it on the other side, and just getting out of my head, whether it was me going to Bible college, or if it me getting a 4-year degree from a university, or some of the mentors that I have in my life. Someone did it for me. So I said, you know what? There are so many people out here in this world that have no clue on what their purpose is. They don't know what their mission, and they're constantly fighting for attention and a sense of belonging, versus just taking time to really envision who they are and where they want to go. So I said, if I have been given the tools and resources, then it's time for me to stop sitting on my gifts and talents and really accentuate that. And it really ignited after I got laid off, to be honest, in February of 2021. I was working for a Fortune 500 oil and gas company for 7.5 years. And after my dad passed, 1 week later, I found out that I was being laid off. So it was like two incidents back to back. And I said, okay, God, you would never put more on me than I can bear. You're obviously shifting me out of corporate for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but what can I do? So I started to just really go on a discovery exercise, to be honest, Lori. And I said, what gifts and talents do I have? And what do people always come to me for? They come to me for advice, or to be that encourager, or whatnot. And to be honest, in the beginning, I was tired, because I was like, I have my own issues that I'm trying to deal with. I can't help you with your problems. And then I was like, no, that's it. People are coming to me because they see me as a trusted source. They see me as a light. And my husband would always say, hey, when you walk into the room, you light it up with your smile, with your bubbly energy. And even though people are like, why are you so happy all the time? Or why is it a good morning? And I was like, 6 feet above the ground is better than 6 feet in the ground.
Right. There's a truth bomb for you.
And so I just really took it and just ran with it. And I said, if God wants me to do something else, then you close this door. But he hasn't closed the door. So I'm doing this now. And people ask me, what is a visionary life coach? Someone asked me that today. And I said, think about this. It says, write the vision and make it plain. If you don't have the vision, then you're going to easily be swayed by other people's vision, whether it's building up their empire, their legacy, or working their 9-to-5 job, making them richer while your dreams are getting stagnant. A visionary life coach is a person that comes along with you as a partnership, because you have to do the work in order to see the results. And we start to map out where you want to go from your present moment into the future. Because just because you're in one place of your life does not mean that you can't achieve your goals, your dreams, or turn those dreams into realities. But you have to start by taking action to be able to effectively secure a better and brighter future, right?
Yes. I love that. And another thing, one day I was sitting here because, you sow and then you reap. So you reap what you sow. And I was always under this impression that, I've been sowing all this stuff and I'm sitting here waiting. Where's all my stuff I'm supposed to reap? And then he's like, Lori, reap is a verb. And I went, oh, well, what the heck am I supposed to do with that? I remember that conversation with him. He's like, it's a verb. You're sitting in your butt. It's an action. What are you doing? What are you doing to reap it? And I'm like, nothing. Guess I should be doing something. Yeah. So I love that. But yeah, if you don't ask, he won't answer. Ask the question. Yeah, I do love that. I do love the vision. I like that. I never really thought of that as, you're the first visionary coach I've met. So it's pretty exciting. Right? I know. So yes, I love it. Because we do need to have a vision. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? It's like you're planning a trip, but if you don't know where you're going, then how can you map it out? How can you make plans? How can you get the hotel and decide what you're going to go do if you have no idea where you're going?
Yeah,
I love this.
We all need our own roadmap for our life, because we all know life is a roller coaster ride. There's going to be highs and lows, ups and downs, twists and turns, and roundabouts. But how you deal with each one of those moments is pivotal for your success. There's always a lesson in each moment of your life that you endure.
Yes, there is. And it's always when I hear people saying, oh my gosh, this is happening to me again. It always happens to me. And I'm like, well, and it's going to keep happening to you because that's the attitude that you have. If you are saying, well, this isn't how I want things to go. How can I do things different? Or what is this trying to teach me? Or what is this doing for me? Now you're getting somewhere instead of woe is me all of the time. Again, reap is a verb. You can sow all you want, but if you're not reaping, the farmer doesn't sit there and go, I wonder why the crops aren't coming in. Gotta go get them. So if somebody there's like, hey, I need a visionary coach, how would they get a hold of you?
So you can reach me via my website. It is Beacons. So it's beacons.ai / my name, Genesis. That's GENESIS. Amaris, AMARIS, last name Kemp, KEMP, and it has all my information there. If you're also on social media and you want to see what I'm up to, I am on Instagram at Genesis Amaris Kemp. Same on Facebook. For Twitter, it's Genesis A Kemp. And those are some of the places that I hang out primarily. I love to, know what you're up to and see how we could do life together to really collaborate and create those synergies.
That is amazing. So any last tips or inspiration that you would like to share? Oh, she's got a whole book.
So I'm going to give y'all a quote from my book. The title of my book is called Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace. I have 2 editions on the market. And the reason why I called it Chocolate Drop is because, so many people are like, oh, she's Black, she's African-American, or they're like, what are you? Your features don't look different. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a chocolate drop, because chocolate comes in all forms and everyone loves it, whether it's white, milky, dark, semi-sweet, or whatnot, it's irresistible and you just can't have one piece.
That is a true statement.
So the quote I want to leave is, share your experiences. When we talk about our trials and tribulations, it helps others. Let's learn from other people's mistakes, be open to new perspectives, and support one another. No one wins alone. It takes a community, courage, and a buy-in to create change. We are all leaders. Each one of us has a respective audience to reach.
Thank you. That was amazing. And now I need to go get your book. So, yeah, thank you so much for being a guest. It's been so great to hear bits of your story.
My pleasure, Lori, and I can't wait to have you on my show to interview you. And I hope your listeners really connected with our segment today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and catch you next time.